Hello, and welcome to another episode of TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen, episode number 864, coming to you live from somewhere nowhere. I think we might have to another episode of your daily bite of Degen, episode number 864, coming to you live from somewhere nowhere. I think we might have a double echo going on. I think that's what we muted him real quick because he's got his Twitter space on at the same time. He is joining us. So we actually have someone really awesome, super smart, coming to the show. Noah from Whalecoin Talk hosts bi-daily spaces around Web3 and everything that's going on. I know he had to step out for just a second. Let's see if he is there. Are you there, sir? Noah, checking in. I don't know, maybe. Feels like he's still away for a second. Still trying to check in. Can't hear us. And his camera's off. So we're going to take him off stage just in case he's trying to get himself right. But we have a guest on the show. So this is one of those fun things that it's always fun to do things. And we are actually going to be doing some really cool stuff tonight. We're going to be going sort of old school. I run through this stuff all the time and just sort of like skip a lot of what we talk about. So we are going to be talking check settings on speaker. I heard the ding from him. I hear the dings from him on Telegram. So I know he has those messages.
Yo, can you hear me?
GM.
What's up, man? This is last minute. I don't have my camera set up, sadly.
That is okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear, yeah.
Woohoo! All right. We have Noah from the one and only Whalecoin Talk joining us. And this was one of those last things where I sort of shot him a message today about a token. He, at the same time that he shot me a message about the same token, and we were sort of talking about it. But it's sort of a really interesting thing to see. Noah, do you want to take over for just a quick second? I have an emergency call I have to answer.
Yeah, sure, no problem, man.
All right.
So what's going on, everyone? I am excited to learn about how exactly Taco LPs on Meteora. I'm familiar with LPing. Have done it before in the past, specifically on Trader Joe because I like their bin concept and interface. However, I haven't done it since then, and I think that with Sol being as explosive as it currently is, and all these different, all these different memes taking off, it's a good opportunity to provide liquidity and earn some on the fees. And I know that guys like Taco have been doing this pretty avidly. And so I'm looking forward to learning step by step what he does. And hopefully I'll be able to take advantage of this opportunity. You back,
Noah,
my
you were
dude?
there? I am good.
Yeah,
It was family call, emergency type of thing. So, when you're
Everything
getting a call
okay?
from a family at 10 p.m., you got to make sure everything's okay. But
Of course, everything's good.
everything is good. Yeah.
Great.
You gave the lowdown of who you are, right?
I did, and I gave the lowdown of what we're going to be discussing today as well. Talked about pooling on Meteora, how I've done it on TJ in the past. I like TJ's bin concept. I found it much easier to understand than Uniswap's original V3. In fact, I think their V4 just went live today, and it's live on several chains.
It did. At like 4:00 this morning, I was making a liquidity position, and I did see that V4 was their first nomination. I was like, oh, it went live, sort of like under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
They soft launched it by like I think an hour before official announcement. So I think they wanted to make sure that everything sort of like was alive and kicking, which was pretty awesome. One of the really important things that we've seen as the adoption of liquidity providing has grown is the major focus around impermanent loss.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the big things that like bin placement, where you get to sort of spread your liquidity out across different price ranges, has really allowed for capital efficiency as well as impermanent loss protection. So for me, I've done a lot of liquidity management in even Uniswap V3s, but having to do like manual bin placements, which has not been the funnest of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of one of the really cool things that we've gotten to see, that Trader Joe started, and then we've seen it really start to expand through both like on Solana through HawkFi, as well as auto compounding, and so auto yield via Beefy as well.
So does HawkFi, Meteora, or I guess does HawkFi and Beefy both use the bin concept that Trader Joe initially put out?
So Beefy doesn't use the bin concept. It does. One of the things that they did just recently implement was their V3, the concentrated liquidity management. So via Gamma, so it will move a position to keep it in the most efficient price range for a lot of things. And so that is one of the really cool things to see. But what we've seen more is with HawkFi on Solana. And so the big difference here is HawkFi is Solana, Beefy is 20 EVM chains, or now 21 different EVM chains.
Right.
Including the most recent, bridge between SVM and EVM, Sonic. So there gives a lot of opportunity for up and coming dexes and emissions. So what they do at Beefy, if you have a normal V3 position, they auto compound it for you. And so whether it's a governance token or the opposite side of the pair, or whatever incentive is being given to a pool, they compound that for you and re-put it into your position and add to your position, which is sort of cool. With the CLM version now, they will take that position and keep it in a narrower range, but then move that keep that in moving in your position so that you have the best price range on it, which is a really cool aspect.
So I would love to see it in practice. I think I could probably figure it out on my own, but the reason I pinged you and asked you about this is, you seem passionate about it. You seem to be doing it daily. And I'm curious to know, are you constantly readjusting your parameters in order to stay in range?
In some places I am, and then that's only if there's like a high volatility on a position. But using HawkFi, that sort of actually allows me to not have to do that, because with the auto pool management, they keep my bin placement, and they move it as needed, so that I'm in my position. I'm in the best position range.
Oh wow!
But at the same time, there's a couple different options for that. There is auto compound, so it will take the trading fees and it will compound it back on top, or there's also auto range, which will re-put the position in the range that I set, and it gives me a little bit of variations on those positions.
Interesting. So one of the problems I faced when I was doing this on TJ was I had to keep manually rebalancing, and there was some auto balancing pools. The problem was that at the end of a few months of doing this, I ended up like barely breaking even. It wasn't even worth it. I may as well just have held the asset itself.
Yeah, and that's one of the pieces with that is because sort of TJ. One of the things that you couldn't really do too much was different bin positions, I guess. So like the three most common, spot, curve, and bid ask.
Mm-hmm.
And those are different variations of, so obviously spot, think of, 60 silos or 60 poles that are all the same height. So that is sort of how a position could move. And I'll actually show this up on the screen right now so that we could see, like, one of the big pools in the last 24 hours is this new token Lux. For those that might not have gotten into it. And as you can see here on HawkFi, so there's two different aspects of HawkFi. There's HawkFi and their original HawkSite. And the only reason why I'm giving this difference is because HawkSite was their original protocol and it was integrated with Orca. HawkSite is integrated with Meteora, and because they're different types of pool structures, they're keeping them separate for now, but they're gonna all bring them under their rebrand of HawkSite. So as people can sort of see on the screen a little bit, a spot position is a balanced position, completely 50-50. That is like a V2 position where you have to go in the same amount almost. You can do it differently. You don't necessarily have to do it 50-50, but that's sort of what a balanced pool looks like. Mm-hmm. A curve will look like, a central point and then less liquidity along the side into bins that spread out from it. And then a bid ask is, think of it as a V, that, like, if you're looking at a trading chart on a high frequency exchange like MEXC, you'll see that green and red lines sort of coming down into a V pattern, and they'll sort of go up and down on the sides, and the V becomes a little less of a V, but it's always sort of moving, because especially like on Bitcoin, that's sort of where that center point, where those 2 points meet, where the red and green line meet, that is current market price. And that, to me, a bid ask really sort of allows for better, not capital efficiency, but capital protection. Mm-hmm. On the market deciding the price of an object, of a token. And the reason why I say that is because you have thinner liquidity. Let's say a token costs $1. And you have more capital on the left and right, slightly above and slightly below, of the opposite side of the pair. That sort of helps the price stabilize in one aspect, but then it also allows for the price to swing wildly back and forth a little bit.
Right.
But then it sort of, as like, because it's a, like, think of it as like in like a half pipe, okay? From like at a skate park. You can, the perpetual motion of that will want to bring you down towards the center of that half pipe. Price can fluctuate and go back and forth, and if you're providing liquidity, you actually want that, because it will always come back towards your center, because whether they are buying one side of the token or they're buying the other side of the token, you're getting that trading action. So the higher the ramp is, the less it's going to leave that central spot of price, which is a really cool aspect of that. And so it lets the price move. And if people want to then buy up the price, it's sort of like a domino effect. Whereas with a curve, that is where most of the capital is in one bin.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is, if less capital on either side, it sort of gets thinner, and that can cause, same thing if we're talking about motion, like a rock rolling downhill, that can cause like huge price movement, because more capital is sort of stuck in one spot rather than to spread out the movement. And that's one of those things that can cause a lot of price action and get you out of impermanent loss, or cause impermanent loss really quickly.
So I guess the one that I was always using on TJ was spot. I never actually used bid ask or curve. And I'm curious to know what you find yourself using most of the time.
So I use bid ask because that puts thinner liquidity in the center for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of puts those price ranges on each side that will make things sort of slow down if it's going either or. So and what that will do.
Go ahead.
Oh, and what that will do is that can cause more price fluctuation around that center point of the actual price. And so that gives me better trading fees.
Okay, so I guess it makes sense. At this point, I just have to go try it.
Yeah, and one of the really cool things that Meteora allows for is one-sided liquidity without having to be outside of a price range.
One-sided. Interesting. Can you show me? There's like a step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I don't have any Lux token.
Okay.
And so I can go in, and so one of the things that HawkFi does for auto rebalancing, you have to your position has to be worth $100 or more.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if I'm, if it's all on one side or if it's not. And so you sort of see how this bin position is. So it puts more SOL into each bin, the farther out it goes, and less SOL center in to where this is where the price is in the center.
Mm-hmm.
And since I don't have any Lux, it's all, it's flat. But from here, I literally can create the position, and there's going to be 3 fees that are charged, that are refundable when you close the position. Like in Solana, any new account, you have to pay the rental fee for that. And when you close that position, you get that fee refund back.
So is this essentially giving you the same result as if you had an equal amount of Sol and Lux?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no. Because I'm only it's not auto swapping. It is not trading any of my Sol for Lux. It is just putting up basically a buy wall saying, I will buy Lux, and I'm putting liquidity there to buy Lux.
I see. So the price, but the price needs to swing towards the left in order for you. Okay, got it.
And that will happen naturally. So like if anyone that sells, because I'm putting it right at the price point of Lux, anyone that sells, and by the time this position fully opens, I might have actually collected a little bit of Lux, both on the trading side and on the fee side. Because as people buy and sell Lux, because I'm providing, I'm in a spot where that current price point is. That's the idea behind where Solana, where this is.
This is cool, man. I guess I'm just going to experiment with it. I'm going to play around with it. I find it's one of those things where I could watch you do it and you can explain the fundamentals to me, but you don't really get a knack for it until you actually get your hands dirty.
Yeah. And for those that haven't ever actually provided liquidity before, one of the, like, and I know you have, but you haven't maybe used like Hawkfly or anything like that. Mm-hmm. For those that want to actually visually see and understand liquidity and impermanent loss, I always recommend pairing USDT and USDC together, because then you actually don't have to worry about impermanent loss. So as we see here, auto compound is automatically turned on and auto rebalance is off. So I turn auto compound off and I turn rebalance on, and with a slippage of 0.5%. And then the other thing that I change is the reshape on rebalance. I move it back to a bid ask. And then this one puts, I could change this, but this is 69 bins around the effective price, and it follows the price up or down. So every hour, the pool price out of range and position balance greater than 100, it will rebalance. And so it will take the position and it will move it into the new position. That way, the position sort of stays giving me fees. So as we see here, I've already actually claimed a little bit of fees in that position.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I've actually claimed a little bit of Sol. So that means that people, moved into that position and moved out of it a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. But this is one of those things to where what it really comes down to is it a highly active pool? Like, even if it's USDT and USDC, is there a lot of people trading in and out of it? And what does that total volume of trading look like? So you can sort of see what that percentage is of unclaimed fees versus TVL. And as we can see in the last 24, not even 24 hours, just on Melania Sol, I've earned $32 in fees on a $165 position.
So you're in a bunch. You just like the high volume ones.
That is sort of where I stay. I do keep like a cup. That is where I focus my liquidity on, in both communities and tokens that I believe in, and that but I also believe in having your money work for you. So rather than money just sort of sitting in my wallet and not doing anything, why not have it earn a little bit on my behalf while it's doing that. So we can sort of see from these Meteora pools different positions, different trading pairs, and just what they've paid in fees in the last 24 hours. So as we've seen here in the Trump USDC pool, it's had $41 million worth of volume in the last 24 hours.
Jeez.
And so $330,000 in fees have been paid out. So for those that are providing liquidity, that's how much they, $750,000.
So in the last 24 hours, you've earned about $600?
That is showing my position weight. Okay. In the last, on this pool, because I just sort of made this one, I've had this one for a little bit, but moved it. So all time. So Trump has been about, what is this now? We're on like 2 weeks since Trump launched, not even. And I opened this up on the Sunday of, and so I've made $107, and I started off with around $200 of capital when I first got into Trump. And then that, as Trump went up, that sort of carried the price of Trump. And then I was collecting the trading fees, and I was allowing it to auto compound for a while. And then I switched over to letting it just take into that pair as well. And we can sort of see where that sort of, if I had gone with just holding versus LPing. So if I had just held Trump and not LP'd, I would have been down 47%.
Oh, wow.
Since Trump. Because I remember I opened this, like I bought the Trump Saturday morning. So, when it was really cheap. And then I opened the pair when it was, at the 70 billion mark, or maybe 65. It was on its way down, but it was still heavy trading. But because I provided LP on it and I was compounding my fees, I'm only down 27% rather than the 47% if I had just held.
I like how it shows you that.
Yeah.
I don't think that.
One of the couple of the cool things, it sort of shows you also like the price range movement within your bin. So you can sort of see I'm about due. If it comes near that the minimum price, it will auto rebalance for me as well, which is sort of really cool. And we can see here with automations, my total deposits in USD. Let's see here. Yeah, so my total deposits in USD has been $14 into this pool. The rest of it was Trump that I got and rode that Trump up and then ride that Trump back down. Unfortunately, it just sort of shows when you put it in, the price of Trump, right, not what you bought that Trump at. So that's why it does, like the pair is down, or holding Trump would have been down. And so, yeah.
I think at this point, I need to just go ahead and try using some pairs. And like you said, you don't want liquidity sitting around. You want it to put it to work. Just to reiterate for people listening, that there is no risk of impermanent loss, correct?
So if there is, if your position drops below $100, it won't rebalance for you.
Okay, so theoretically, it's like, let's say it's good to have well over $100 position. Like, let's say $1,000 position. Theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically, that might not be. Not everyone might be able to do that. And I go in, but if you go in with $1,000, it will always rebalance for you automatically. you have to just make sure that you have the settings for auto rebalance, as well as whether or not auto compound or not. If you want to set it and forget it, like USDC and USDT, you don't need fees from that. You just want to create. You want to compound your position as much as possible. And so because one USDT will always equal one USDC,
right?
But because of the way things work on chain, they go slightly out of balance, and arbitrage bots will work to sell and buy, or sell USDT, buy USDT, sell USDT, or buy USDC or sell USDC to rebalance and arbitrage that. So if I'm sitting in the middle of that and I have a really narrow window, I'm providing that capital for it to trade, I can benefit from that by doing absolutely nothing.
Well, that's what I was doing on TJ. I remember I just kept trying to rebalance with fewer bins, like 3 bins, but it ended up being a lot more work than I wanted to deal with. And so I remember stopping and thinking, I'd just rather spend my time doing other stuff. But with the USDT, USDC pool, the fees aren't as much, aren't they?
No. So I'll go to that pool right now. And this is just the pool on Meteora. So there's pools on Orca as well. Let's see, USDC, USDT. So USDC, USDT, these pools on Meteora aren't really good. Out of $2.39 million in volume, there's only $227 in fees. Or in the last 7 days, roughly $1,500. But what you can see and so where I have my USDC and USDT pool, because there's actually a deeper pool of USDT, USDC that's traded more actively on Orca. And so that is where I go for my USDT, USDC pool. When I'm looking at a pair, I prefer. So I know the other day we were talking about different on-chain tools. And we talked like Dex Screener, Dex tools. Have you gotten into using Bird Eye?
I have not. No, I mainly use Photon. I mainly use Photon.
Okay. So like using Photon, Bullx, looking at charts and stuff like that. The reason I really like Bird Eye is because it actually will break down where is that liquidity at? Is it on Orca? Is it on Radium? Is it in Meteora? Which pool and what pair is it? And so that for me makes a really good choice to sort of find where I might get the best pool on this. And so as we see here on Hawk site, so this is the USDC USDT pool. We see the 0.02% pool has earned 15.1% in the last 24 hours, with $29,000, but $96,000 in 24-hour volume. I actually prefer the 0.01%, so I'm getting half of the fee amount that I normally would get because there's so much more volume going through. So even at that 3.2% versus like 15, or I'm getting more on my fees because there's more volume going through that.
I like this, man. You seem like you have this nailed down.
It's one of those things to where it allows for finding a position, finding a protocol or a project or a token that you like, and this is a way that you actually can show support to a project, whether it's to move out of a position or if it's to support that price point for a protocol.
Interesting.
And I don't know, did you see the thing that might from oh my gosh, Arkham this morning about Ross?
That he was, I think it was yesterday, but he was sent, or someone with his wallet liquidated a bunch of Ross tokens or something like that. I skimmed it.
So yeah, so he actually was going into a manual position on Radium. Mm-hmm. So where you have it's not really clear cut, and he went into a pool that looked like it was a good price range, but it was a pool that was set up that was out of the current actual price range. And so he suffered major and permanent loss because arbitrage bots took that and moved it to the other side really quickly without him getting a full benefit of that position. So
wait, so he provided liquidity out of range, and that resulted in arbitrage bots taking advantage of it.
Yeah,
it's interesting, man. Ross the poor man's been in prison for 11 years, and he's not even out for that long, and he's already degenning. He's already
yeah.
He's wasting no time.
Well, it's because this is one of the things that we've seen people do, that they get a charity token in some way, shape, or form. And heck, I'll be honest, the best thing he could have done was just one clip sell that.
I see.
But where what he was trying to do was provide the token so that it could be bought up, basically. But because he sold it, basically he let's say market price was at $1. He entered a pool that had the price at 80 cents. And so he went at 85 cents. So he was out of range in that pool. So he could go one-sided thinking, hey, I'm not getting rid of my token. I'm just allowing everyone to sort of buy it at 85 cents. And then he would, basically a fill order book. But because that pool was set up at below market value, it didn't automatically put it into the right price range. So he basically market dumped his tokens instead of selling them at $1, selling them at 85 cents. But I think that the pool was actually at a much lower price than that. It was a pool that hadn't been changed, that was out of range, since it was at a 40-cent range. So I feel bad for him in the aspect of that, hey, actually that could have been his intention all along. And he just wanted, it's his token. He could have done whatever he wanted with it. So, he could have done that on purpose because he did 2 transactions. Or he thought that it had been filled and such, and he just didn't. He learned the hard way.
Right. I don't know what things were like for him in prison, and if he had access to a computer, but if he didn't, maybe he's learning this stuff for the first. I mean, I would imagine he's learning this stuff for the first time, and there's a lot of room. You can make a lot of mistakes. We've all made mistakes. It takes a while to learn this. So I think we should give him the benefit of the doubt. He's also
even when we're still in it, even when we're deep in it, we can mess up. One of my AI tokens that I really like right now, Aeon on Base. I accidentally, because the price was fluctuating so fast, as I was entering a liquidity position, the price point was taking so long to set on Base that by the time the pool had set and I had put the price range at, once again, I'm just going to use a simple, like, let's say the price was $1 and I was setting it, but really, or it was at like 90 cents and I was setting it at 91 cents, the price had already moved up to like $1. So I basically just dumped a whole bunch of a huge position at almost a complete loss on that.
Damn.
So
happens to the best of us.
Hey, and that's why I do provide I really like providing liquidity on Beefy versus I do a lot of liquidity providing on Uniswap because there's protocols like Merkle or Steer that the one thing that Uniswap did not have, now it has V4, so there's some cool stuff that's going to come with that. But Sushi or Camelot or Aerodrome, you can provide bribes and incentives for people to provide liquidity on a token pair. Uniswap does not have that. So there's protocols like Steer or Merkle that can recognize you having a V2 or V3 position, and you can go and claim rewards from them on it. And so I do have a lot of positions open that I'm providing liquidity for that I'm able to earn. Like I have like $300 in a sushi wrapped ETH pool, and I earn maybe $30 to $40 in sushi a week.
Wow.
So I'm earning 10% a week on just a full range position, I
haven't messed with sushi in a while.
Bringing back some memories.
I know, man. I guess they're still kicking.
But man, the trenches have been hot tonight.
It's insane, dude. It's on another level tonight. It's something about Friday nights, man. I think it's people. I mean, people don't have work the next day and they're on their computers. But there's something. I'm pretty sure the Trump token launched.
It's one of those fun things about doing a show late at night. We have the U.S.
Sorry, you just froze for me.
So with Asia waking up, it's as we're starting to send last minute messages to the ecosystem like, this is hot, this token is not. And so we get to see other people picking up where we left off, which is sort of a fun thing to do.
Right. Yeah, I know, for sure. And so, I mean, I'm not going to bed for a while, to be honest with you. I think that it's going to be exciting tonight.
So one of the tokens that we had come across our radar today, outside of a lot of other tokens, but one of the tokens we had come across our radar was the new Spaces token.
Right.
And for those that don't know what this token is, Store, and this comes from Solana Spaces. Solana Spaces used to be a physical location, one in New York and one in Miami, that was ran by a gentleman named Vibu. People might know him on Twitter. He was doing like physical stores, and he had grants from almost 100 different projects to run physical locations. And what was really cool is they were onboarding people daily to Solana for the first time. They had a little quest campaign for, as we call, some people might call them oats, or back then they were just NFTs. So learning about different protocols within Solana, and getting a wallet. And what was really cool with Solana Spaces is they literally were giving every person that went through and did, I think, like 5 out of 8 quests, they were giving them $10 worth of USDC right then and there. And then they could spend that in the store via Solana Pay, and they could get like, just with that $10, they could like buy a pair of socks or they could, half pay for a pair of socks or some other item in the store. But this is so they ended up closing down last year, I think it was, or in 2023. But now all of a sudden they came back alive. So what have you seen on this across your timeline on this or chat messages?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that stuck out to me was that Drip House. It was associated with Drip House, and I know Drip House. So the first thought I had was, well, this isn't going to rug. I don't think that Drip House would be associated with something that would rug. And then the second thing I thought about was, well, I mean, we say what the utility is, but obviously the way the market is right now, no one really cares about utility or anything. To be honest, it was more of a gamble, right? It's Drip House associated with it. I see you and I saw you following the account, so that also made me want to DM you. And then you seem bullish on it, and the people in my groups that I was talking to were, some of them were bullish, some of them weren't. But it just felt like a good place to kind of take a punt. And I think, yeah, it's been doing well. Like, it went from when I discovered it, I think it was at 2.5. One of the boys actually shared the contract with us, and he was like, do some research, like look into this, guys. And so I was looking into it, and it was at 2.5, and I think it went as high as like 10 mil.
It might have, per this chart, it's just barely scraped 7.8 mil. It might have, on some charts, it might have read.
No, you're right. You're right. I made a mistake. I'm looking at it now. So on Photon, it actually waked up to like 7.6 mil. It didn't even hit 8 mil. So now but still, I mean, now it went from 2.5 to, and now it's dumping hard. But that's the thing with these things, man. Like, you don't know, right? You don't know if it's gonna live, if it's gonna keep going. And so I always tell people, if you're up on something, if you're up like 2 to 3x on something, you should at least take back your initial and some profit, so you're protecting yourself.
Yeah, but what's hilarious is how, like, out of everything that comes across, like, I drink from the fire hose contracts. So one of the Telegram groups I'm in is literally a Radium alert bot that every new pair that is created on Radium, I get an alert for. One of the other fire hoses that I get is basically every new token launch. And so that's just streaming nonstop. But what's really crazy is this token didn't just launch today. This token launched back on the 23rd. And so they got everything ready. They bought, the team or so bought enough to get out of bond. And then they went to put it out, which we see how that sort of ran into the 300,000s. Then, yesterday, or no, earlier today, it skyrocketed from 700K all the way up to that 7. And so this is just today's timeline right here. Which is an interesting fact. So from here on, this is today's price range of it. So it could have, but with everything that's going on, it just sort of escaped the radar on trades, because that contract wasn't shared in any group that I'm in. Didn't come across Twitter at all until today for me. And the fact that I got a notification that I saw it, just sort of, oh yeah, I remember Solana Spaces. And I had to go back and follow the account after making sure it was the right account, because one of the ways I keep myself safe is I follow accounts that I want to keep my eye on, but I unfollowed 7,000 people, January 3rd. And so I've been having to refollow things as they come back across my radar.
Yeah. So with our company accounts with Moby and WCT, we're not following as many as maybe Moby's following more, but on my Noah account, I've been following everyone for the last almost 3 years. And so I found it to be helpful when I'm hunting, because when I go to a Twitter and I see people in comment and I know some of those people, I'll end up DMing them and see what they know about the project. And that's been really beneficial. I mean, and point, Exhibit A, I hit you up about the Drip House one. Another one that fell on my radar today was Brood, BROOD. And again, these things are like not financial advice, DYOR. These things are gambles, but the concept seems cool. I checked the Twitter history. I checked the to make sure that they didn't just change their name or they haven't pushed out other contracts in the past. The dev is Docs, I believe. And I guess the concept is you're able to create and develop your own character using an AI engine, your own IP, and then you can launch that character as a token with a custom contract. So again, at first glance, it seems cool. I think it's pumped a lot, and it seems like it's kind of people have taken profit from that big run up. Here, let me send it to you, because it's dude, Twitter's search function is so bad. It's like
I found it, Brooder Tech.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Yep.
And yeah, just have a look, man. I mean, it's
5 hours since they patched.
Yeah, I know. They're already on Mexi and Gate.io.
All right.
They went all the way up to, I think it waked up to over 10 million, and now it's kind of consolidating at between 3 to 4 million. So yeah, just obviously everyone be careful. These things are risky. That they're not even launched yet, but I like it for a play right now. So I'm in that.
Yeah, as we've seen, what $55 million in 24-hour volume, yet it's only been out for 5 hours. So in 5 hours, it's had $55 million in volume. It already has Meteora pools, Radium, and those pools opened up for it. Obviously, it being a pump. Well, no, it doesn't look like it was a pump fund, because they're doing vanity address for it. So they did a vanity address for it. So Brood ending in Q1. But it does have a really interesting aspect to it. Already 9,000 holders, but I did find it already on Meteora or on HawkFi. So in the last 5 hours, it's had $107,000 in fees. So for me, that is a let's get into that type of situation.
Yeah. So Taco, I actually just I sent you another tweet. It's the dev, and he's fully doxed, and there's actually there's an entrepreneur article about him, and his name is Alex Antigan. He's a native advertising focus is on engagement overcome. Yeah, so he's a let me see. What's this? Sorry.
Pepe's Fuen. Is this that green frog that was doing the space last night with 10,000 people? No.
I'm not familiar with this account. He's actually following me. Let me give him a follow back.
Ha. All right. So what's sort of cool is he's only being followed by 2 people I know, Dean and you.
And I just followed him.
Yeah. And one of the things that you had sort of said that can be a warning sign. If I go to an account and let's say it has 3,000 followers, but it's got like 30 people that I already know, or 10 plus people that I know already following it, that is actually a warning sign to me that they're reusing they're just changing the handle and the account name.
Well, there's a bot you can actually do for that. So here, let me actually plug this. So he's the one that tweeted it. He has nothing to do with the actual project.
Yeah.
So while I check this Twitter account, it kind of go through the What were some of the green flags that you saw when I shared the brooder contract with you, and some of the red flags?
For me, let me if I'm looking, one of the green flags is that there's already different. There's multiple different liquidity pools already set up. So what that means is that people have taken the time to actually make both V2 pools, because I see a CLAMM pool on Radium, and the initial V2 pool. And that would have been the one coming out of as like a pump fund. And then I see a pump fund pool as well for it. But the fact that there's a couple different pools that all are getting action shows that there's a lot of different price pieces on it. Some of the other pieces that I see, let's see, trading wise, way over 1,000 trades. And then one of the really cool things that we can look at always is add and remove liquidity. So we're seeing people add and remove liquidity as they're moving in and out of positions on it, which is always a good thing. So that means people are not trying to dump, just fat finger dump the position. They're putting their tokens that they bought in a price range to sell for other people to buy. So rather than for it to just, doing the instant sell, they're putting them in a position waiting for other people to buy them, which is one of those things that we all sort of wish everyone would do, because that sort of allows you to get bought out of a position. And this is one of the fun things about it, is that it sort of lets you see a lot of that going on within removing and adding of positions. So literally we see how quickly this is going, and people are adding in. Someone just added in just SOL only, meaning they're wanting to be able to, what they're signaling is, I'm willing to let anyone sell and I'll take a position on that. So that's one of the pieces that I look at.
Right. So and the translation is that they're betting on the price going up, correct? Or no?
So it depends on. So if they're putting in just SOL, they're putting it at the price of where it is right now. So I can't pause it, but I'm going to look at this. Actually, I think I can pause. Oh no, I can't. But so this person right here put in both sides of the pool. They put in both brood and SOL. So that's allowing for price to move back and forth. When they're putting in just SOL, they're saying someone can dump on me and they'll take all my SOL and give me brood in return. So that means that they're adding to the liquidity for it that can actually help stabilize a price a little bit, even if they're seeing that this is at a down point. That they have belief that even if the price keeps going lower, they will still earn. They will collect brood or brood. I don't know how brood.
I think it's just
brood.
Yeah.
Brood, and then they could have impermanent loss, meaning they sell all of their SOL for brood, and then they just have brood in that position. But that might be worth more to them. They're like, I'm getting this brood at a discount, so when it goes back up, they'll pull out of that position and they'll only hold brood, and so that they were able to get brood at some of the lowest prices rather than just fat finger at that single price of what it is right then and there.
I see. I'm glad this is recorded. People should be able to go back and watch.
Yeah, this is the fun side of things. And so one of the things, as we see here, I actually have to remove my position as to auto rebalance, because my position's already moving. And you have to move to 1% and move this back so that it will rebalance it into a bid-ask position. Now, this is one of the funny things right now. Because they're making different functions and they're having to build contracts, and then they have to have those contracts audited by 3 different companies. And the reason why they're doing 3 different companies is because they are integrating with Orca or Radium or Meteora. And then they're wanting to keep everything safe. And so then it's basically a smart contract that just does everything for you. And so one of the things that if you're doing just an auto compound, it will only auto recompound you into a spot position, not a curve or a bid ask position. So then with an auto compound, it's a flat position and you could face impermanent loss a lot faster. And you have less capital efficiency or capital efficiency versus trading fees efficiency, I guess you could say. And so you can have those 2 positions, an auto compound and auto rebalance, sort of fighting against each other. Auto compound will rebalance you into a spot position, while auto rebalance will rebalance you into a bid ask, curve, or spot position. And so this is sort of how I do it, because as we can see here, I've already made, and I don't know the price of brood, but I've already made 887 brood just in fees, and I've already made 0.01. So what would that be? 10, 50. I made 1/50th of my total deposit so far. So I put in 0.5 SOL, and I've already made $5.57 in fees in the last 2 minutes.
Brilliant, man. This is so cool. I can't wait to dive into this. I'm gonna use the recording, refer back to the recording, and share it with people that want to learn. I think this is a great breakdown and free education, honestly. I don't know anywhere on YouTube that explains it. I have to look, but I don't know of anyone on YouTube that explains it as well as you just did. I really appreciate your time, Taco. I have to bounce, but
Yeah.
this was amazing. This was amazing, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to offer all this information to us for free. This is awesome. I can't say that enough.
Hey, thank you. And you actually provide, like, I do long form on like 1 or 2 things a night, and you do a daily show where you're sort of covering the whole market. So also hats off and flowers to you guys, to you and what you do with Moby and with Whalecoin Talk. So you guys sort of set the game for everyone else to sort of talk about what's going on, because there's so much. And we'll have to do this again, because one token I really want to talk to you about is VVV.
Dude, VVV is an interesting one. I have a position. I am thinking about, so the fact that Eric Voorhees is behind it to me is bullish, but I have a position. Yeah. The idea, Ryan Condren is the one that told me about Venice AI last year, and yeah, I regret not using it more. I didn't know they're going to have an airdrop, but I do have a VVV bag. I might have bought it a little too early, but I'm holding it, and I think it's something that personally I will keep an eye on and size in over time. Should be I mean, yeah. Again, it's Eric Voorhees. I imagine it's gonna go well.
Yeah, and it's what the biggest thing that I say with that is long term. It has barely scratched the surface of what holding it will allow people to do. But if we're talking, since we're covering liquidity positions, so there's two spots technically that you can go and provide liquidity: Aerodrome and Uniswap. The third option is Beefy, where it's doing the automated compounding fees for you. So like there's 3 pools. There's the Aerodrome, the Uniswap VV wrapped ETH, and the Uniswap VV USDC. Right now on the Uniswap, now obviously the more people that put into these pools, the APY is going to go down drastically. But I would rather have 24 hours of 38,000% APY, which is trading fees of almost 600% APR for 24 hours than like 3% for a year. So this is one of those things to where it sort of really is awesome on that. And one of the really cool things with Beefy is it shows you your position pieces at deposit and where it is now. So since this afternoon or this morning, I've basically gained 10% on this position. So on $1,000, literally all I did, I put in 200 VVV tokens, and it's automatically split the 2 positions for me. And since then I've gained $93 just on that position alone. The other aspect of it is Ask Venice. So for those that don't know Venice, we'll drop it in. We'll drop the link in the comments. This is private and uncensored AI that gives you all the latest open source models that using Akash, using Morpheus. I remember, Venice went live 2 days after More Token TGE went live. And right now, if you stake your Venice, you get VCUs, but you also are earning 193% APR.
All right, I got to dive into this. This is wild. I love the AP. This is what I'm talking about. So thanks for that last second alpha, Taco.
Yeah. Hey man, this is what we do.
Yep.
And so for those of you that are not using Venice, there's a link in the chats. We'll put it also on the video side of things on Twitter. And Noah, this is a great time to end the night because you said you had to leave, but then you also stayed for a quick second. And so we're going to talk more about Venice on a different day. But you've actually never been on the end of the show before, so you get to help me end the show.
Sure. Thank you, everyone, for joining TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen. Today was episode 864, titled LPing 101/102 with Noah. Remember that everything you hear on Taco's broadcasts are meant for educational purposes only. Nothing is financial advice. So be safe out there, and we will see you all on the next one soon. Take care.
That is amazing, but how we also end the show is with words of wisdom and the greatest worst knock joke on the face of the planet. Because you're on stage, you get to help with your final thoughts and words of wisdom. 10 seconds.
Brilliant. Again, my final thoughts are that this is an amazing time in history. You have more free educational resources than ever before. You are getting more knowledge here on Twitter Spaces by following the right folks like Taco than you will anywhere else in the cryptoverse. So keep paying attention and stay safe.
And as always, our words of wisdom are always the same. A closed mouth cannot be fed, and you cannot feed a closed mouth, meaning if no one knows you're looking for opportunity can never come a knocking. If opportunity does come knocking and no one answers, it's going to keep on walking. I want to thank everyone on LinkedIn, Player One Taco YouTube, 0xDegens YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Telegram, Rumble, Kick, and on-chain via Unlonely and on-chain via Soul Media Tech. Thanks to Filecoin for joining us tonight. This has been an amazing time. And Noah, since you are here, you get to help us with the greatest, worst knock-knock joke on the face of the planet. We've told this joke 863 times. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right. Out of honor of those that come before us and memory of those that come after us, knock, knock.
Who's there?